right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you somebody that Nomvula was talking about and telling her that she needs to add in a little bit more because not everybody's been here in previous sessions. So I'm going to introduce the speaker, and she will then come up and tell you a little bit more about herself. She'll be talking about the changing landscape of SDNL in South Africa, unlocking the potential of SMMEs, cooperatives, and townships and rural enterprises. A phenomenal topic and hopefully something we're going to learn a lot about. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ms. Revona Botha, who is the RB Engineering Managing Director.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. This is Revona Botha from Northern Cape. All the way from Kimberley. Okay. Actually, I want to start off with John C. Maxwell's thinking. Great leaders lead from where the people is. Vision has to make provision. If we think we have done something without provision and think we can get somewhere without provision, adequate provision, then we've missed the ball. But I hope this presentation will bring more light to what really happens to the people down there on the ground, people who's trying to make a contribution to the economy of South Africa. But before then, I need to introduce myself. I'm 25 years in engineering and construction. I'm the Managing Director of Robust Engineering and Training Services. I'm providing professional services in terms of designs and project management of HV and MV substations and lines. I'm the CEO of Bamboo Rock construction company, building substations in terms of completing the value chain from design, inception to closeout. I design, project manage, and I construct. And this basically came from transferring of skills. If I need to accommodate people out there, I need to, as a woman, being very sure in the industry that I am, I can, over the whole value chain, be giving comprehensive training and transfer of skills. That's why I adopted the design phase, the project management phase, and the construction phase. And also to surprise you, I am 100% shareholder of Robust Engineering. And Bamboo Rock, I'm 51% shareholder of Bamboo Rock. Bamboo Rock initiated from a guy who approached me who has built 140 substations, and I've built 2 substations with them while I was employed with Eskom. And I really saw the potential there because as a black person, given my previously disadvantage, I would never afford infrastructure. I would never afford, a capacity. And here this guy came along and said, Revona, let's team up with your abilities, competencies. We can team up and we can do this. And I'm currently building my 2nd substation, which is straight routes in Soweto. Thank you. I've built my first substation I'm actually enterprise development under consolidated power projects, and I really need to give them a huge appreciation for taking me on. And that's why I'm having this topic today saying we need to create potential for SMMEs. And I must tell you, with consolidated power projects, I can proudly say, they took me for my very first project that I've done in KwaZulu-Natal, building Imgeni substation, doing the civil engineering work there. They took me from a CIDB grading of 0 to a CIDB grading 6 CE, EP. My very first, because they adopted me as an enterprise development. And a bit disappointing on the other side, robust engineering, but I also have some achievements to share with you. Since the establishment of robust engineering, I only got 1 project, very disappointing. I've been building substations when I was in the big enterprises, and when I'm on my own, people used to say when you go to them and you present these companies before them, no, Revona, start your own company, you can do it, you can do it. But I must be saying after 3 years establishing this company, I only received one project up to now that is really helping me because of my management, financial management skills, making ends meet. I could manage up to this date to manage the income from that. And with that, I can proudly say I bought land, 1.2 hectare, where I'm going to build an engineering school, a school of engineering and construction, so I can take in people and entrepreneurs to be exposed to the practical side of things. And personally, myself, I am a single lady, but if you put in your CV, then really. The hiring process is very stringent, and I am a mother of 2 sons. My eldest is 25 years old, my youngest is 17 years old. My eldest is a specialist draftsman. He's designing my school, and my second is a soccer star with tucks. He's 17 years old, and I wish him to go much far. I just wanted to show and express women in the industry to say we can do it. If we have the passion, we can do it. And I've been a bit of deviating from, and I wish this can also contribute to say, even your women, your children, the girls out there, your daughters, we can do it. But we also need mentors to take us through that. And I have opted myself. I've started a ESCOM youth development program in Northern Cape, where I adopted 40 youth that I'm currently via remote Facebook and WhatsApp mentoring and coaching from this side. And I'm currently involved with the NHBRC. They're training 120 women in their program, Empowerment Women. I'm also involved there. I wrote the courseware in the construction business, issues with compliance and all that. So I'm heavily involved in the training phase and the mentoring and coaching of. And I am going to, Northern Cape, I'm going to adopt 120 women so I can help and mentor the women to say we can do it, so that we can move away from safety, soft skills, but also get involved into the construction phase. And I think the construction is where we can really get involved, because there's a lot of functions within construction. You'll see as I go through my presentation. Okay, I did say the topic was changing the landscape of SDNL in South Africa, unlocking the potential of SMMEs, cooperatives, and towns and rural enterprises, which is point 7 of the point 9 point plan that Mr. Zuma spoke about in Parliament. Now, looking at just an overview, we're a population of 55 million, and we've got a spend of 386 billion, and yesterday I heard that Minister Pravin Gordhan said there's a 900 billion available over the 3 years, which almost came to the 26 spending. And then we've got then we have an expected spend of 274 billion. Then there's state procurement spend set aside, which is 30%. But the thing is now, if we go further down to the red phases, we find that there's a 38% labor market that needs to provide for the 54 million, that needs to provide for the 386 billion spent. And of that 38% labor market, we only have 73% employed who participate effectively within the industry, and unemployed sitting at 26. Usually we speak about 28%, but we can see it's 26%. And then not economically active is about 28%. 15.4 million people are sitting at home, not being active. They possibly have the qualification, they possibly have the know-how, but we're not creating enabling environment for them to participate. Then we've got the CIDB register for all categories. I referenced the website. Total contractors is about 160,000, of which 148 are active. But I also listened to the speech yesterday, the budget speech that Minister Praveen said there's 300 contractors registered. But which means of that 300 is only 148,000 active contractors. And the others are just there, and we're not creating that space. The leaders of this country are not creating that space so that they become active. Then in terms of registered professionals, I'm not going to talk too much to the presentation that Nomvula was doing. We've got, of the population, I took a reference, SSCPMC and EXA, where the most figures are. We've got 0.1% of that population, of our population is registered. So a 0.1% needs to provide for 54 million people, which is really critical. And then a 0.2% of the labor force needs to ensure that the economy grows. I've looked a bit at stats. I saw that if you, in your different regions, you can see where you fall from Western Cape to Limpopo, but then I was more concerned about the expected spend. We've got 386, but the expected spend is 274. So now I was asking myself, what happened to the other spend, the 112 million? If in any company we know, if we budget for money, we need to see that that money needs to optimize the business. We need to see that money needs to be effectively introduced in the business so the returns can be higher. But now here we see 112 million loss, million rand, where that discrepancy, and we're asking ourselves, that is loss of opportunity. That's a deficiency in the system. You cannot be given 10 rands to optimize the 10 rand, spend it, and let your return of investment grow, and yet you're not spending it because we're not effective in our spending, and we all are responsible to ensure that, and we can use that 112 million, maybe approach government and say, let's see where we can use that 112 million effectively, because we've got almost 50% of contractors which are registered and they're not active. Maybe we can get them active via certain programs and bring them back into the system. And then also maybe to take in consideration 1% inefficiency of the spend can cost us 2.74 billion, and we know how many inefficiencies are there in the system. Currently, since 2010, the industry went down. The projects, there's a backlog of projects, they're not moving forward. Those are inefficiencies, loss of opportunities, that's really keeping us back to move forward. Another facts we're looking at, I spoke about the 0.1% registered persons. All in our companies. I also want to ask the SSCPMC to make provision for specified categories in terms of, we have there's 120 women out there, and some of them are coming from nowhere. But I committed myself to say, I can take a nowhere to a somebody. If somebody's doing gardening services, possibly I can assist that person to do vegetation management. And vegetation management possibly should also have a professional status, because you don't just go out there and cut trees. You don't just go out there and influence the environment. But you need to have a type of association, professionalism to say, you are registered to cut trees. So those are the things that we can bring in. Okay, I've been looking at, also I did a SWOT analysis. Okay, it's common that we really have a lot of issues. But in terms of the SWOT analysis for enterprise development, I did say strengths, the willingness. It takes somebody to become an entrepreneur. Some of us are forced. I'm retrenched at 40 years of age. So I've been forced to come out of my comfort zone to come into an entrepreneurial and emerging mind. And that's where I'm currently, and I must say, it's joy. It's still joy. I'm growing within and then the know-how. Given my expertise, all of us out there, we have there's a certain skill that we have that is needed within the industry. Even those people sitting at home, there is a know-how, and those people are better off than the professionals, because design engineers want to become managers, design engineers want to sit in high places. But if you look further down, those are the guys who really want to get their hands dirty. So we need to rethink things. And the competencies, as I'm saying, are specific. At least it can be optimized because you can bring in those people. It's not people that wants to be all over the show. They are specific to a specific set of skills. And then we're looking at, I'm just going to brief, there's a lot of points you can go into that. I just want to go to the industrial participation can be confined. Professional services, we look at OEM agents of operations and management, we can assist the industrialization side. And then in terms of our weaknesses, there's a list of weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses that I want to identify, which is the top one. For small and emerging companies, we're not all coming from nowhere. We're coming from somewhere. I can take an example of myself. I've been a professional, being registered with Engineering Council, being registered with SECPMC. But now that I have my own company, I found that I'm limited to small projects which are outside of my scope. And I need to just take it because I need to make a living. But really, I'm building substations. I'm a professional project manager. Construction project manager. But just that mindset, that status of being an emerging, being a small company, we confine to smaller things. But I think we can do better because these are professionals that comes out of the workplace, out of government, out of big entities, and trying to please take cognizance when you do your procurement, your SEM, and think of small businesses. So those are all the weaknesses that I listed. We are limited by funding, sometimes resources. We don't have infrastructure. We're really struggling out there. But I'll get to the end point to say, really, you need to make provision for us if you think there's a vision in terms of growing the economy of South Africa. Then what I just mentioned, the biggest threat is the SEM, the procurement processes within government sphere, within bigger entities. They think very small when it comes to small enterprises and emerging enterprises. We confine. I'll just give you, maybe I need to share that I got electrification work, but I'm building substations. Which means I need to get an additional resource to come and do that because that's not really my scope. I can project manage, I can give technical support, but I can't do it myself. But if they could have given me substation design, project management or what, I can do it myself, then I can grow. But now I have to share, but it's also a good thing because sharing, building network and sharing also contributes to the economy. Thank you. So the leadership really, the leadership that leads the SEM processes, they lack professionalism. We understand, we go into briefing sessions, we find that the guys, if the briefing session is supposed to be 1 hour, it's 10 minutes, then the briefing session is out at tender briefings. Because really you can see the people who's presenting the tender and the bidding, they're really not clued up because they can't question to technical questions. But those are the guys that really need to come on board, get registered, and know that there's CPD, continual professional development, so that they can upskill themselves and go to relevant courses that can help them to execute their work effectively. So leadership is a problem for us, but we hope by way forward, growing the economy, that we will work on our leadership. And you can go and read, there's all those issues regarding leadership that I've picked up. Then in terms of government, if we look at the SWOT analysis of government, there is money. I just mentioned that 112 million, where does it go? Why don't they spend it on us? We can grow with that money. So which means the 30% is part of the 274 billion. What about the 112? We can use that maybe to grow, to create projects, and there's potential even for the bigger guys to initiate projects so that the smaller guys can come in. And those are all the weaknesses and opportunities and threats that we find in the government sphere. In terms of success, I actually try to think, what is success? Where do one start with success? Success equals exposure, plus time, plus opportunity, plus innovation. Innovation is at the far end of things. You can only innovate, you can only come. I know there's forceful innovation, especially with certain entrepreneurs like us. Then we need to change strategy, we need to diverse things so that we can keep keep ourselves in the game. So we are saying, creating an enabling environment, we need to be exposed to work. We need to get work. We can only do it right if we're part of the work. But while if we're 150% of contractors registered and we're out there and we're not actively involved, then how are we going to be exposed to what and how do you expect us to grow? Then we've got time. We need to spend some time. We know what even professional registration, you're coming from varsity benchmark qualification, but you still need post-experience. But why doesn't that apply to a developing of entrepreneurs? Why doesn't that apply to developing of entrepreneurs, SMMEs? Why not giving us time to grow? And then opportunity, create the opportunities. As I just said, if we look at the spend, maybe we need to go to government and say, if you can't spend that money, let's try and get that money and spend that money for you. Because we know if we are actively involved into planning and leading, then we can create the end result. I also looked at the project labor charter, especially in the substation environment. I've identified 103 functions. We always talk about employment. People can't get employed. There's no jobs. What I've realized, there are lone rangers and there are guys who's doing it all. One person does everything. That's why we cannot create a space, opportunities for other people to grow, get employment, because one person is an engineer, he's a quality assurance, he's the safety, he's the project manager. And if you just take one project and unravel it, go into the depth of that one project, you'll find we can create work. We came to a point that the big guys can't have it all for themselves. They need the smaller guys because now there's imbalances. We need to balance things so that we can all be on par. Otherwise, we might just end up at your doorstep and saying hashtag adopt an entrepreneur or emerging company. And by that, I want to say thank you. If you want us to be part of place us into the gears, as you can see. Let's be part of the process and let's adopt an entrepreneur. I can end by saying that currently, Robust Engineering has 25 employees on the construction site. Bamboo Rock, Robust Engineering has 8 employees, where I myself are the director, and I'm a technical director. So every project that comes in goes through me because I can do it myself. I don't need any expert. I can see the scope of the project, the requirements, and I can start with the project, so I don't need to pay anyone. Then I've got 3 enterprise developments. I didn't grow that much, but I've got 3 people that's doing my printing. I've got another one that's doing the running around, and so I optimize. I can create jobs for other enterprises, because I've been printing 30 books. Just an example, 30 books, they're charging me 5,000 rand. But my entrepreneur next door, I just ask her, how much can you do this work for me? Find out how much is it, one A4 paper. She did it for 2,000 rand. So I could give her the 5,000 so she can optimize on the additional 3,000 rand there. It's not to say I can't afford it, but I don't like wasteful expenditure because I can create opportunities with whatever I put in. So my message to you guys, members, is to say, please see if you can adopt an entrepreneur. You can negotiate better salaries. You can negotiate better pricing. So by that, I'll say thank you very much. Thank you.
Revona, thank you very much. That was so encouraging, and it's just been so wonderful listening to you and seeing what you're doing for the community, what you're doing for others, and in the capacity as a woman as well. I mean, I think it's important to see how women are making inroads into this particular industry.